It is time for our first hot topic, and Hurricane Michael's devastation has people asking if any of us are nearly prepared enough for a big storm. The nearly Category 5 hurricane became the third strongest hurricane to make landfall in U.S. history, just barely passing the Sun Coast and then making its way through Panama City and east of the Panhandle. But now Panhandle residents are looking to see how they prepared and if any of us are really ever prepared for this. Think about this storm. On the weekend, we thought it was a minor hurricane at best, yet people woke up yesterday morning to a Category 4 storm. How do you even prepare for that?
I
Oh,
know.
and seeing it live on ABC when you really saw roofs blow off, buildings move. I think the main thing we've got to do is evacuate when they say evacuate.
Could not agree more.
Don't make somebody else come in there and look
Yeah.
for you after the storm. That's unfair to other people, not just you.
And have we been lucky so many times that we still don't take it seriously? Because
Yeah.
I will
Probably.
confess, even we talk about it so much with what we do. I still don't. We don't have a hurricane kit that is up to date and prepared. And it's like, how many more times do we have to, go through something where we think, okay, just be prepared at all times? I think there's still a very lax attitude here on the Sun Coast.
I think the lesson from this storm is that things can change unbelievably quickly, so that anytime there is a storm of any magnitude and you are in or near that cone, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
Because it may change overnight and conditions do develop quickly.
And just because you don't live on the water doesn't mean
Right.
you're safe. I mean, that storm is going to Macon, Georgia. It's hundreds of miles
And
to
it's
the
still a
water from
dangerous
there. Yes.
tropical storm, that's for sure.
Some people ask me when I'm out and about or wherever in my life, people will say like, why are you guys making such a big deal of this storm? We didn't get anything. And it does get me a little frustrated because I know that our storm team works so hard, and just because it didn't get your neighborhood, our viewership is all the way up north, and there were tornado warnings yesterday.
Absolutely.
So it might be beautiful in your neighborhood, but some of the people that also watch the channel are in danger.
And it's just a matter of miles.
Yeah.
Right.
It could be here, it could be there. There's no way to know that exactly. So your life is at stake.
And there's a fine line, I think, between encouraging preparedness and then being too passive.
Yeah.
When you talk about how bad it could be and what you need to prepare for, and then it isn't, then people are like, you blow everything out of the water. But this is an indication that it does happen.
Yeah.
They weren't preparing for Category 4, and that's what they got. And I think over the next couple of days, as we see the pictures and the video, I think it's going to be pretty sobering what the power of Mother Nature is like. And as Linda says, you can't prepare for something of that magnitude. You just got to go.
Yeah.
It's a house.
Yeah.
You'll get another one.
Yeah.
Years
It's just
before
you
I
gotta
came
go.
here. I came here 23 years ago, and years before that, a hurricane was coming, and this station said, yeah, a hurricane's coming. That was the end of that. It was just a part of the weather forecast. The hurricane hit, and this community was furious because they didn't get more warnings.
Yep.
So this station is very careful not to repeat that, something that happened over 25 years ago,
Right.
but it can devastate a community.
Well, and one thing else to remember before we move on, I know our meteorologist will tell you this as well. The computer systems now are really good at track. This storm behaved very well. It did mostly what everybody thought it was going to do in terms of where it's going. The computer models have yet to get good at intensity. And that is where the surprise element got really bad yesterday, is that, the warm water, the lack of upper level wind shear, nothing tore this down. It just grew and grew and grew, and it grew fast. But it stayed on that path. But the problem is when you think you're going to get a tropical storm or a Cat 1, and you've seen 10 of them, you're like, nah, it'll be fine. Well, unfortunately, the intensity can be a surprise.
And we had seen smaller ones. And
Sure.
I think you saw the reporters there. They had gone through a lot of storms, but they had never seen anything like that.
And we were on the phone bank, and I'm not picking on anybody because I know better, but when we were taking calls from viewers last year, it was like, oh, well, I didn't get my pet's shots, so I can't go to a pet shelter, and it's the day of the storm.
Right.
So there is
Right.
that, all those things that checklist needs to be taken more seriously, and I'm saying that for myself as
Oh,
much as
yeah,
anybody.
absolutely.
I am going to get hurricane shutters.
It's
My
before
famous
next
line at
season.
home. It's on the list. Yeah, I know I need to do that. It's on the
We'll
list.
bump it up a little now.
Sometimes it needs to happen. Well, the Sun Coast is certainly known for our strong love of the arts in the community and our schools. But what is keeping millennial students away from these disciplines in college? It may not be their fault. So the Atlantic writes that students are worried about massive debt and low-income jobs, if you can even get a job in a liberal arts major to begin with. So more traditional majors are being chosen, but fewer students are branching out and expanding their horizons. in maybe the time that it's most important for them to explore. For example, English majors have decreased by 50% in 20 years. Do we encourage students to take more risk? I don't know. As the parent of a child, I just want to get a job and pay off college. No, get a major in something you can get a job in.
Yeah, I majored in English. I majored in English and psychology, and when I got out of school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But if I'd chosen something before then, it would not have been what I wanted to do. So I think I was
There's
wise.
something to be said for that.
Didn't know that then, but I think it was good for me to wait and get a good background and then decide what to do.
You don't know when you're 20 necessarily who you're going to be forever.
Well, there were no female reporters when I was 20, so I didn't have that choice, but that never stopped me once I got out and saw what I wanted to do.
Well, there are still, like in the engineering and science tech industry, there are still other jobs there that they need. They need marketing, they need operations.
Yes.
So you don't have to major in engineering to work in a growing engineering field.
Good point.
So a liberal arts degree is a great thing. No one paid for mine, so nobody really gave me input as far as, no, you have to do this. And I have heard the stories of people wanting to go into liberal arts and being kind of forced into law or medical or something because their parents were footing the bill.
Well, a history major, you know, the museums still need curators and things like that.
Yeah.
But as the parent, you know, I will admit I'm overly practical. I've been accused by my kids of squashing dreams because, you know, one announces he's going to the NFL and I nod and say, really, you know, pick something different.
Yeah,
You know, and I don't mean to be like that.
Sure.
Have a backup
You better
plan.
have a backup plan,
But
you know.
in some cases, isn't a degree because you look at how many people do I know that have musical theater degrees that are in marketing operations, high-level management. So they didn't necessarily have to get a business degree.
They say liberal arts prepares you for life, and majoring in something else prepares you for a job.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
But you have to afford to be able to prepare for life while you get that job.
It's true, and as someone who is still writing a check every week or every month to my student loan.
But you're so well-rounded.
Oh yeah, that's what I'll tell myself.
Just poor.
As I add another 0 to that check.
Oh, yes. We hit on a very sensitive spot with me, so I'm just going to stop shuddering. All right. So admit it, some of us are very guilty of rash purchases, perhaps when we're imbibing. But you never know what you're going to do. But I bet you've never screwed up quite as bad as this guy. So it's actually a couple. They're on their honeymoon. They're in Sri Lanka. It's their honeymoon, right? They're having a ball. They're hanging out with the party. They're partying with the staff at their beach hotel. They're putting down some drinks. And then apparently they announced to the couple, or just kind of said in their casual chat at the bar, that the lease of the hotel was almost up. This couple was apparently so drunk, they signed the lease for $40,000 US and bought the hotel. Can you imagine that showing? I mean, I've had some surprises in email receipts, but not one quite like that.
What a rough next morning.
Well, here's the deal, though, and this part I really like. The couple kept their word. They are the proud owners of the Sri Lanka hotel, and they put in $8,000 of renovations, apparently months of financial hurdles, but they are going to make it work. They, however, decided against drinking while making business decisions.
I bet they're a lot of fun for their guests, though.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's a gift that keeps on giving. Normally there is a surprise after a honeymoon night, but it isn't a hotel.
It isn't always a hotel, yeah. You'd think with 2 of them, I'll be honest, any of the purchases that I do that are probably a little bit of the oops purchases, I'm firmly by myself having a glass of wine or several in the front of the computer and thinking those shoes had to happen.
Yeah.
But you'd think with there's 2 of you, one of you would be smart enough to say, knock this off.
Someone's got to play good cop there. But it makes me not feel bad about when Amazon rings my doorbell and I have a purchase. After.
And you can't remember making it.
I know hope it's something I like.
Right, or you wake up in the morning and see the email and you're like, oh, did I buy something last night? That's not good.